I've been staring at an ugly front garden bed for far too many years, and I've been waiting for the right opportunity to renovate. So when the folks at Enbrighten reached out, I was excited because I'd used their products before, and they have a lot of outdoor smart lights. So today I'm gonna show you how I revamped 2 spaces outside my home. I'm ready for the holiday season, and you can be too. Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life, and we're gonna get right back into it with that front garden bed. But I have to thank the folks over at Enbrighten for sponsoring today's video, as they sent me all of these products and actually another one. This helps me pay my team, but as always, this won't affect what I tell you is good and bad with these products. And there's a little bit to tell you that you might not love if you're a really advanced home automation person. But let's get back to what I was doing in that front yard. The FlexLight comes with a couple of sets of mounting hardware. What I mean by that is if you're gonna put it in a garden bed like mine, then you get these little stakes that you just push into the ground, and then you can stick the mounting clip on top of that. And then the FlexLight itself sticks into the clip. It just fits in between those, and it's a really easy process to put in a stake, move along a little, and then stick in another portion of the light. This was really helpful to have this kind of a system because with the mulch, I had to keep the FlexLight from being fully buried. Now with this light, you don't want to bend it too aggressively, but that's the case with this style of light everywhere. They give you a bending radius of just under 5 inches in the manual, but there was really no corner I couldn't navigate fairly easily. What I like about this type of light is that it allows you to frame an area really well. Plus in a little bit, I'm going to show you how you can just use those clips to mount them anywhere around your home. Now the next item that I used is these color changing landscape lights. These provide 150 lumens per puck, so they're not incredibly bright, but they are a soft lighting effect that is perfect for garden beds like this. And I was able to place them wherever I wanted because of 3 factors. Now, number 1, Enbrighten makes all of the cable on this burial grade. That means I could tuck it under the soil if I wanted, or I could just put it under the mulch like I did. Number 2, there's about 10 feet of cable in between each puck. This gave me all of the space I needed to make the right decisions for placing things the way I thought made sense. And number 3, these also contain a garden stake that's made really well, and it's partially flexible, so when you push it into the ground, you're not just gonna snap it if you hit something a little hard. Those 3 factors plus one other factor made this combination of 2 products really easy, and it looks pretty neat and tidy. That other factor is the length of the end run. And what I mean by that is there's quite a bit of cabling from the last light or the end of the FlexLight to where you gotta plug it into the wall. This let me go around my yard instead of having to run directly towards an outlet and then ending up going across my driveway or my walkway. I still ended up needing some extension cables for my specific situation, but the length of cable let me hide a lot of this installation. And I love that fact because it makes the curb appeal of my home just that much better. Now the landscape lights also have an option for mounting on wooden fixtures. So these don't just have to be a garden bed or driven into the ground with those stakes. You actually get a mounting diagram and they detail which screws you would need and which drill bits to use. So this is something that you could use to replace or to accent lighting around your front porch too. Now you might have your own ideas, but I really like how my home looks now, and there are some specific features to the way these lights work. So let me detail how this entire lineup behaves so you can see what it does when you have 2 or 3 or even more of these lights around your home. Then I'm going to show you another installation I did with some more of their product. Now I might have 3 boxes on the table, but I have 4 Enbrighten lights around my home today. 4! And they're all really similar in a few ways. They all connect over 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is actually a good choice for outdoor products if you don't want to use a smart home hub. That's because your 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi will probably reach outdoors, whereas 5 or 6 gigahertz usually won't. They all connect to the Enbrighten application for control. Adding in these products is dirt simple, and they all contain a button on them that helps you start that setup process, and it actually helps you to cycle through the effects too. So you have manual control directly on these. Now, once added to the app, you can turn on and off any product from the app, and then you can go in for more detailed controls. In every case, I've had the ability to put at least 3 colors on any light fixture at the same time, and then I can use some of the pre-created effects to put more colors on them and to have little blinking or fading or even chasing effects going on. Plus, there's a feature where you can create your own effects using some of the components that you see in their pre-created effects. What's really nice about interfacing these lights with Google and Amazon is that you can use specific commands to change the mode over to those pre-created effects. And with Amazon routines, you can easily select one of those effects to turn on when something else happens in your home. Say, for example, the doorbell rings. Although they don't talk about this on their box or in their marketing material, I've also managed to bring these into Samsung SmartThings for simple on and off control within that application. With any of these light fixtures, you're going to find that the colors you select are the colors that are coming out of the device. These all boast a CRI of greater than 80, which is pretty standard on most smart home color lights today. At least ones from reputable companies. But one of the really neat things is when you have these lights, like the landscape ones, you're able to turn off any specific light if you don't want it to be running. So in this case, you can actually just completely hide one. You bury it under everything if you felt like you had too many for your area. The lights can be scheduled, and there's even a really simple dusk till dawn scheduling feature, but I found it very reliable to just turn these on at 6 p.m. when it's starting to get dark, and then have them run till around midnight, and then have them all turn off. You can group lights in the application, which becomes very important when we talk about the next installation. But that's not the most impressive thing about the Enbrighten lineup, at least not to me. You should have kind of noticed that they were paying attention to their design and their engineering from some of the statements I made about the installation of those lights in my front garden bed. I talked about the long end run and the fact that the landscape lights have burial grade cabling, but they are using the right gauge of wiring on these kinds of products, and they have actually thought through electrical protection. These are things that will keep your investment in smart lighting working for a lot of years, and I think that's something we don't talk about enough with smart home products. I think these will last well in the 10 to 15 years range with absolutely no problem. And I even have a story to tell you about a past set that was protected through this design by a problem in my home. So while you will notice there are some large transformers towards the end of these products, and you might not love that, understand that they have a purpose, and that if you're buying products without some of these things, they might just not last. The first thing you're going to notice is I have another flex light here, and it is a 16-foot version of that same one that we had out front. I used a 16-foot version here, and I put it on the top of my porch rail because it fit perfectly there. And it also didn't interfere with the other thing I installed. Now, the really nice thing with the clips that they give you and the screws that they put in the box is that they are very small screws that I'm going to be able to fill in easily if I ever remove this. And those clips can be used and hang something like this over the side or underneath my porch. So I could have done that too. I decided to do it this way because if I'm on my porch, I want to see the lights too. So I guess I was being a little greedy. Now I can always see them out my window, and actually I automated them to turn on using Samsung SmartThings whenever my curtains opened and it's nighttime. That ensures that they're turning on automatically and without the scheduling. But I also redid an installation of Enbrighten cafe lights from last year, and this is where I can tell you about that electrical protection thing. See, many of the products from this company come with a little fuse in the plug, and they recommend that you're plugging into a GFCI outlet outdoors. But honestly, this place that I'm in just has never done the electrical right, so I've actually lost other products when I've plugged them into the outlet that's out there. This very recently claimed a smart home camera, and I thought it had claimed those original lights, and I was very upset. However, after looking a bit deeper into this, I found that the fuse had done its job and properly protected those lights. Now, one of the really nice features that will let me use those when I get a new fuse is that you can plug additional lights into each other in this series of cafe lights. So Enbrighten had sent me this new vintage style of cafe lights, and before I had seen them, I thought I was getting the same thing as I had last year. Honestly, those cafe lights were fantastic and had these great bubbles in them. But this new set is slightly longer, and I feel like the bubbles in them are just that much better. Again, the physical construction of these are so impressive, and you can actually unscrew the outer fixture and get a replacement if they ever break, but you'd be pretty hard pressed to break these because I've dropped them entirely on concrete floors and they don't even get a scratch. Simply put, these are impressive, and once you start putting colors into them, they're even more impressive. Plus, this set that I got is double the length of the ones I had last year, and when I have that new fuse, I'm gonna plug in that earlier set and continue my run further. Now here's what I did to string these up, because I had a porch without a pergola or anything of the sort. So I basically had a railing and nothing above me to be able to string them up. They are fairly heavy, so you have to deal with that. So I went and I got these green stakes, lawn stakes from my local hardware store, and I probably should have painted them at some point, but I put a couple of screws into my porch and have those sticking straight up. I did this after I had done some measurements for length, so I generally knew where I was going to run my initial set of patio lights. After that, it was just a matter of screwing in a hook at the top, and then I could string up this light along the 3 stakes. Now, because of the cost of these, I decided to get some metal ties for security, but because these were double the length, I actually went down and around the outside of my porch, which I think is a lot of fun, but I'd love to hear what you guys would do in this situation with all of this additional lighting. And from here, I'm gonna do all kinds of automations with Amazon, but in a lot of cases, these kinds of lighting products are just gonna speak for themselves. So you can check out the links down below, and if you want to see more great smart home lighting products, then check out the playlist that's on screen now. These are some of the other great products you can get today, and we've tested them out, made sure that they're going to work in your home. Otherwise, thanks for watching today, and of course, don't hate, automate.